Great interview with Alex Salazar. Sit down, grab a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, but you don't want to miss all the information that he gave us in this beautiful interview. Hi guys, and here I am at Tropical Acres Farm with Alex Salazar finally. One thing that I've been wanting to do for the longest, but somehow I couldn't never get to. I finally came to pick up three of my fruit trees that I ordered like 2 years ago. But I'm gonna use this opportunity to ask Alex a little questions about Orlando area and what is good for over there. Here's Alex. Hi, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure, no problem.
So Alex, I always wonder because here in South Florida, everything grows, and most mangoes do great. But for us in Orlando, especially inland, what would you recommend with the humid, the heat? It doesn't rain, and then it rains for like 20 days in a row.
Yeah.
What would be the best varieties for like a backyard garden?
Normally when we're talking to customers that are in the Orlando area, or they're in the middle part of the state and they're very inland, like more than 10 miles inland or something like that, we try to steer them towards mango varieties that have excellent natural disease resistance first and foremost, because when you get into more inland territory, the climate becomes a lot more humid, and higher humidity with mango means a lot more fungus, especially fungus like anthracnose and scab, sooty blotch, fly speck, things like that. And of course, they can still get powdery mildew as well.
Oh,
so
we had a
they can get that
bad
anywhere.
year. This year was horrible.
So because you're in that humid area, you're not only battling powdery mildew like we are here. We get powdery mildew here in the coastal zone, but you're dealing a lot more frequently with those other groups of fungi that can be very detrimental to your crop. And if you're growing varieties that are more prone to those diseases, your chances of getting fruit on a consistent basis get very reduced. So we, like I said, try to steer people towards varieties that have excellent anthracnose resistance, that you don't necessarily have to spray and get fruit to get fruit. This tree behind us is a Duncan, for example. This is an excellent variety for the inland parts of Central Florida because it has outstanding disease resistance. It can set fruit through powdery mildew. It will get powdery mildew on its flowers, but still make mangoes.
I can have this one though. It will take my whole yard.
Well, they have great anthracnose resistance too. So I used to grow this mango. I had a few of them at my old farm in Loxahatchee Groves out west, which is very similar to the climate of Orlando or some of the other parts of Central Florida that are inland, and it would fruit very well every year there, even if I didn't spray it. So a few other varieties that are like that in terms of having that exceptional disease resistance are Mahashnak, Pickering. Glen is usually a good performer inland. What are some other good ones? Sweet Tart has really good disease resistance. Floragon has outstanding disease resistance. Sassy Love, another good one that's extremely good quality.
You know that it's funny that you mentioned Pickering. Either he doesn't like me or we just don't have a good relation. I'm in the third Pickering and they all die on me.
Oh wow. I've never had
I bought one for you and didn't make it. I got one at Julius Tropical, it didn't make it. I just got one from a guy in Kissimmee and the dude looks like he's gonna die anytime on me. And then I have Sweet Tart, I have Sassy Love, I have Orange Sherbet.
Well, you've had very poor luck then. I've never had a Pickering tree.
That's why everybody does me.
In fact, we grow a lot of Pickering trees even here, even though we don't need its disease resistance quite as much here. It's just a good performing, productive, very compact tree, which is wonderful, not super aggressive. But thinking about other varieties that are good choices for that area, I would think lemon meringue should do pretty well.
You think so, even though they say it gets sick so much?
Well, ours doesn't get sick. So
really?
We get some bacterial spot on them for sure. We have a little bit on them now, but we still get plenty of ripe, harvestable, beautiful fruit.
Wow.
And we're selling lemon meringues right now in our mixes that we're posting. So orange sherbet has had pretty good disease resistance from what we've been able to observe. So that's one to consider. M4 does well in the interior from what
Okay.
we've heard. So that's a great late season variety if you're trying to expand your season and have some coconut flavored
That's
mangoes.
what I'm here for.
So
I got the M4, the Neelam, and the Little
Neelam, yeah. So Neelam does really well inland. I used to have
Okay.
I don't know, I had like 5 or more Neelam trees in Loxahatchee when I farmed out there, and the Neelam would fruit without spraying.
Really?
And be very
Wow.
late, and it's not the best mango in the world. They're kind of small, but there's something to be said for something that will fruit year after year after year without a whole lot of effort. And most people that are growing mango trees in their yards aren't going to be doing a lot of inputs, aren't going to be doing a lot of spraying, even if they tell themselves they will.
Exactly,
And we want
exactly.
people growing mangoes successfully. We want them getting fruit from their trees so that they're excited for mango season and that they, tell their friends and everything to grow mango trees. We don't want them growing trees that are just black holes in their yards.
I got
So
you.
that's why it's really important for people that are in the interior parts of Central Florida to grow disease-resistant varieties, unless they're collectors that are
Exactly.
trying to get a lot of different things, and maybe they're going to put more effort into controlling disease.
But it's a lot of work because I've been trying to get like good varieties that they're gonna produce a lot, but at the same time, I'm trying to get some. Like I have the Ceci Love, I have Sweetheart because you talk so highly and it's very favorite mango. I said I had to have it. I got an Alfonso. I have a Gary mango that is Julie and Lara favorite one. That's probably one of the first mangoes I bought back in Miami in Homestead.
Yeah.
I got one mango in the Gary mango.
Oh, okay.
It's beautiful. One mango survived.
That's a variety I would not recommend for that area.
Really?
No.
Alfonso?
Alfonso, I also wouldn't recommend for that area either. Now,
You see,
there's
guys,
no-
I'm doing a whole run.
If
That's
you
what
want
I hear.
something that tastes kind of like Alfonso, it's in that group, okay, that should do well in Central Florida, and the humid parts of Central Florida. And used to do well for me out in Loxahatchee, and does great over here too. And we're harvesting lots of those right now.
You know that I haven't been able to put my hands on an engine tree. No nursery have. You're the only one that
Okay.
have
So we
this
make
request. Yeah.
empty trees.
So you heard that, guys? If you want Alfonso, Angie will be your choice if you live in Orlando because it
A
works
great
better.
alternative, and it's very popular with people from India that love the Alfonso.
I hear
so
that
that
is a
tells you a lot
great
about the
flavor.
flavor of the Angie
Okay.
because they buy a lot of our Angie fruit. They like Carrie too, but Angie performs a lot better
I
than
got
Carrie
Carrie
does.
and
Well, Angie usually fruits better
Better
than
than
Carrie,
her.
and
Okay.
it's a very manageable tree. It's a tree that you can keep at 10 feet or less with pruning and not overfeeding it. So we have a lot of Angie trees on this property. I have a lot of them in my backyard. In fact,
I know
they're-
I saw the video that you did with Paul. You had like 3 Angie and I'm like,
Oh, I have more than 3
I'm
in
missing
my
it.
own
You have more?
backyard. I
Oh
have
my
more
God.
than 3. And I've been harvesting them every single day for like the last couple of weeks. And I'm getting a lot of them.
A lot of
And I'm
fruits.
harvesting them here too. So they're a really important early season mango for us. And they're probably a very good mango for Orlando.
For Orlando?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Angie,
Okay.
wonderful.
thank you so much. So next question that I want to ask Alex is about how to take care of those 1 gallon mangoes. Because me, myself, I just don't do good with it. I seem to kill everything that goes in 1 gallon. It has to be 3 and up. So what would you recommend? Because they call it like dieback or something like that.
Well, I mean, all mango trees, not all, but almost all mango trees in the Florida nursery trade start out as 1 gallon plants,
Okay.
including all our trees that eventually make it to 3 or 7 gallon. We didn't used to sell 1 gallon trees until the demand for trees became so high that people started asking for
Okay.
1 gallon plants. So, but there's really nothing wrong with planting 1 gallon trees. In fact, we have planted a lot of 1 gallon trees here on this farm. Almost all the trees that we planted were either 1 or 3 gallon size, and very, very few were larger than that. In
Okay.
rare instances when it was just the only size that variety was available in, did we plant like a 7 or a 15 gallon or something like that. As far as taking care of 1 gallon plants though, normally if you receive a 1 gallon plant or purchase one, if it's had several flushes of growth, it can be planted straight in the ground.
But for example, for me that I want to keep it in path, am I
Sure,
talking
one
to
of the
me
most
about it?
critical things about container growing mangoes is to be really careful about what kind of soil media you're using.
Okay.
And one of the most common mistakes is that people will put them in standard potting soil that you buy from Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that.
I do like a mix with sand and potting soil and peat moss.
Okay. So that would be a little on the rich side to me if it's got both peat moss and standard potting soil. But we use something that's really like a mix of coarse sand, also called builder's sand, some pine bark fines, and some Florida peat, but not Canadian peat. It's
Now
Florida
Korean.
peat.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a mix of those, but it's not like standard rich potting soil. And they do pretty well in that soil long term, but I tell people, depending on how frequently they're being watered, and you know how much rain you're getting, sometimes you might even benefit from something that's like even more coarse sand as you step them up in size. So you can go like 50% or more. A lot of the California people tell us they've had success with almost pure sand.
Really?
Yes. So,
I
and
hear
then
you
the soil
that
we're here, this
yeah,
you can
it's sand.
see,
No,
it's just pure sand.
Yeah, I don't have this.
Pretty much.
I have once in my yard. One part we have a little bit of this, but mostly it's clay.
Oh, okay.
Because it used to be wetland, so they fill it, and then that's how they build.
Oh, okay.
So my backyard, when it rains, Alex, I get 20 swimming pools.
Okay.
That's what I have to do a lot of stuff in.
So some other critical things about taking care of 1 gallon trees, it's very easy to over fertilize a 1 gallon plant. It doesn't have a very large root system, and a little too much fertilizer can burn them, and they're not hard to kill at that size.
Okay.
So I would say make sure that you're growing them in a potting media that's got a lot of sand, that you're not over fertilizing them. We usually only recommend like well, in a 1 gallon pot you can use like half a tablespoon of fertilizer every couple months. That's not a lot of fertilizer. It's very minimal, and it should be like not a super high nitrogen fertilizer, like nothing like Osmocote or something. It should be something more like a palm tree fertilizer where the nitrogen number is below 10. So like we'll use like an 8-2-12 on ours.
8-12?
8-2-12.
All right.
8-2 is the phosphorus and 12 is the potassium.
Because what I was doing, and I want to share this because I'm sure a lot of people like me made that mistake. I was just using like fish emulsion.
Oh, I would never use that on a young tree.
You hear that, guys?
Absolutely not. No.
Don't do it.
No. But that's a good way to kill them.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's really what I did.
It's not going to kill them every time, but it's just.
It might not like it,
I never put fish on mango trees. Now, some people disagree with that or whatever.
I know, and that's the thing. A lot of people
some people
disagree.
will use things like black cow or really rich stuff like that. And
Give me a second. So no fish emulsion, am I right?
Yeah, I don't use fish emulsion. I'm concerned about, especially on young mango trees, because I've seen it burn them before, and so I would avoid that.
So basically, you use
a very light application of fertilizer is usually adequate. And
what kind of fertilizer specifically would you recommend?
We use palm tree fertilizer, but you can use citrus fertilizer too, which is usually a lower analysis than the palm tree.
Okay.
But the bottom line is you're trying to give them a little bit of nitrogen to push them along without burning them. Okay. And that's a delicate process, and so like with a 1 gallon plant, that's going to be like half a tablespoon of fertilizer every couple months, maybe.
And that's what I wanted to do this straight to you.
Fertilizer touching the trunk. So one of the other mistakes.
Yeah, that I know because I watch a lot of your videos and your comments. But that's what I wanted to come here in the first place because I know that I was doing things wrong. And you know, I belong to a lot of Facebook, in like tropical fruit this and mango trees that. And it's so many people with so many opinions, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you know, I haven't, a lot of people think that I've been doing this for a long time, but I've been doing this for like 4 years. I started, my first mango tree, and you might not even want to know the name, is a cocho, which I love the flavor.
A what?
Cocho.
Cogshell.
Cogshell. Yeah. I love it, you know what I mean? I
like cogshell too.
You like it? Yeah. Oh, you're my friend now. Because everybody talks so bad about it. Alex, it was delicious last year.
Okay.
The fruit was this big.
I don't know that many people that hate cogshell. I guess there's a few that don't like
it. Paul hates it.
Oh, really?
He talks really bad about it all the time.
Okay. I didn't know that.
But anyways, that was the first one that I planted in 2019. And then from then, I've been planting different varieties. But you know, a lot of people use fish emulsion. And obviously, I got in the wagon and I did that too. But you guys know, fish emulsion is a no-go. So as I always told you guys, you listen to the people that knows what they're talking about. Like, I did a video, and sorry, Alex, to interrupt you, and I cut the flowers in my small mango tree. I got like 20 people jumping on me, telling me you're crazy, you're gonna stomp the growth. And I said, that's what I want. I don't want big trees. I want a small tree. Oh, you're gonna kill the tree? Guess what? My Ceci Love is looking like a Christmas tree. It's beautiful. It has like five pentacles, like looking beautiful. I said I cut the. So everybody has an opinion about things, and that's what I wanted to visit you, because I know, as you guys can tell, he has a lot of experience with all these things. So one more question, I'll let you go. What do you think about this year losing all these many mangoes? I don't know you, but in Central Florida, they dropping like flies. What do you think happened? What was?
Well,
You think it's just a drought? What
yeah,
it was?
dry weather will trigger a lot of fruit drop, especially on young trees. It can certainly do it on older trees too.
Okay.
But if you've got drought-stressed trees and maybe they don't have optimal nutrition, they're much more likely to upsize their fruit. But we don't really have that problem.
No, I
here.
see that you're looking great.
Certainly they're going to shed some fruit, but we've got pretty good fruit retention.
No, it looks. This is, by the way, guys, this is Prieto from Cuba.
Yeah.
I was gonna get it, but then he told me that it gets sick a lot, so I'm like, then I'm not getting it.
Well, ours has done pretty well.
It does good?
I don't know how it would do inland. I see another ripe one, and I'll have to
Oh,
pick
this
later,
is. I'm gonna say this for my mom, guys, but I water my fruit trees a lot, because I know a lot of people don't believe in that. But since you say that 2 years ago, I've been doing it religiously. Last year was great, but this year it's still holding a lot of fruit. I had like 70 mango fruit in my culture, which is my most established one. Everybody else is like a little. I got a P22 that I bought in a 25 gallon. It's holding like 6 very nice fruits. You say P22 2 years ago, and I've been searching for that until I found it.
Okay.
But I water with the hose.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I
we have an
water.
irrigation system here that our trees are on, and they're on micro sprinklers. But we only water for the first 6 to 8 weeks of fruit development, and then we cut it off because we don't want them receiving water as the fruit is starting to mature.
So when they're in the ground, even if it is a drought, the first 6 weeks, and then let go.
8 weeks,
8
up
weeks.
to 8, I would say.
Like when they start
that's
flowering?
essentially the first 2/3 of the fruit's development, roughly.
Okay.
Sometimes that's a little less than that, but the point of that is to get them to retain more mangoes. And we tell customers that when they buy trees from us, you want to water them as they're becoming established, but then when they become established trees and they no longer need supplemental irrigation, then giving them water outside of that fruit development period is just going to encourage more growth that in most cases isn't desirable if you're trying to keep your tree at a reasonable height that's easier to harvest or whatever. So, but from the time they've set those little mangoes for the first 8 weeks or so, they're very sensitive to drought stress, and they're much more likely to drop a lot of their fruit if you're not watering them at least a few times a week.
What about when it's flowering? Do you recommend watering when
I
it's
avoid
flowering?
it. So there's different opinions on that. I avoid it because I don't want to increase the amount of humidity underneath the tree during the bloom, because more humidity means potentially more fungus.
I got you.
And that's when they're most sensitive. That bloom is super sensitive to fungus. So, but if you want to turn it on then so that you don't forget or whatever, it's probably
No,
okay
I just
in
wanted
most
to ask you because I was in the misconception that when you water, you retain the flowers. They don't dry as much. Is that a something or something? What is your opinion on that?
I don't usually turn the irrigation on until I'm starting to see mostly small fruit rather than flowers, and this is the result. So I think that we get pretty good results here doing that method. But if you want to water them when they're flowering, it's probably not that big of a deal. That's just my philosophy. The bigger impact is going to be as the fruit are developing and they're still small, from pea, marble, and golf ball size is when they're going to shed the most fruit.
All right.
Once they make it past that point, they'll usually start to drop less.
What about in containers?
Container mangoes need to be watered more frequently because they're not, established into the water table, and they're reliant upon you to give them water. So container mangoes probably still need to be watered a few times a week, even as the fruit are maturing. But because they're in containers, that soil will dry out faster, or at least it should, and you shouldn't impact the flavor quite as much in containers by watering them even though the fruit are starting to reach maturity.
I'm glad you say that, because I'm always, I look at it and I'm like, should I water, should I not water? But if I don't water, it's gonna die. But if
you still have to water, if they're
is it gonna ruin the flavor?
Yeah, even when the fruit are mature, but they don't need so if they're in containers, they don't need to be watered super frequently. I would just say a couple times a week at most.
Okay.
You shouldn't have to water a fruiting sized mango tree in a container every single day.
Okay.
Now in the nursery setting, we'll water them every day because we're trying to get them to grow.
Okay.
But in the home setting, that's not a necessity, and they shouldn't show drought stress as long as you're watering them at least a couple times a week here. Plus, they're going to get rainfall during the mango season at some point. So.
Okay. Well, guys, I'm gonna put his information. If you guys don't know him, for me, I learned about from all the videos that I watched from him and Paul, and I think what is it that they say? The pictures speak for themselves, and it looks very nice. I'm gonna put Alex information. He's selling fruit right now in trees in 1 gallons. I know he's not doing buckwood right now until the season comes down, right?
Probably not until the end of July.
It's something, guy, and this boy is still working. So, but thank you so much for watching. As always, go out there and do something. Nature is all gonna surprise you. See you guys in the next video.